A busy evening to come down and to share a special moment, as tonight here at Su Teatro we premiere Una Vida Nueva, the 9 News documentary on the migrant experience in Denver. I'm Kyle Clark from 9 News. It's my honor this evening to introduce you to the work of many of my talented colleagues at 9 News. Once we watch the documentary this evening, it's then going to be followed immediately by a town hall conversation from some of the voices that you hear in the documentary and others that you do not, including Mayor Mike Johnson, who will join us for that. A couple of housekeeping notes. Would ask everybody to turn off their cell phones right now. Please be aware that when the documentary is over, I will ask you to join me in turning your cell phones back on just briefly as I invite you to join me in donating to the Newcomers Fund that is supporting the migrants in our community. We're going to make it really easy with a text link that you can grab and then fill it out later at your convenience, but that'll be the only time that we ask you to turn on your phones tonight. A heads up that the documentary is going to be subtitled throughout for everybody's convenience. Also, on the way in, I hope that you were able to talk with the folks who are offering translation services tonight. If not, they're going to come up and they're going to make sure that everybody's able to enjoy the documentary in the language of their preference. So I believe Fabiola is going to come up now to talk you through that process. If anybody else would like assistance with that, there's plenty of time to get that started before the documentary begins. Just as a heads up, right now we are live streaming on 9 News Plus, our streaming channel, as well as on 9news.com. So we're all in public. Just a heads up, we're all in public. We will be in public for the entirety of this evening. And when our town hall portion starts later on, we're going to kind of do a quick little stop and start for television purposes, because the documentary, followed by the town hall conversation, will air on 9 News on February 3rd. So without any further ado, Fabiola Sandoval, who is going to explain the translation service for anybody who might have missed it coming in the door. Fabiola.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Fabiola Sandoval, and I'm here with the Community Language Cooperative. I would like to thank the organizers of this event for their commitment to language justice. Language justice is international practice to ensure that everyone can participate in this space in the language of their heart, or the language that they feel more comfortable in. In this, we're going to use simultaneous interpretation. My colleague, Ariana, will be in the back table. If you need an interpretation device, please, you can ask her for, with her. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, I will repeat it now in Spanish. Es hola, mi nombre es Fabiola Sandoval y estoy aquí en el Community Language Cooperative. Me gustaría agradecer a los organizadores de este evento por el compromiso con la justicia lingüística. La justicia lingüística es la práctica internacional para garantizar que todos puedan participar en este espacio en el idioma de su corazón o en el idioma que se sientan más cómodos. Para ello, vamos a utilizar la interpretación simultánea. Mi colega Ariana está en la mesa de allá atrás y si usted necesita un equipo de interpretación, por favor, póngase en contacto con ella. Si tiene alguna duda, igualmente, gracias.
We're deeply appreciative to Su Teatro for the opportunity to present Una Vida Nueva to you in the heart of the community. And Tony Garcia from Su Teatro would like to say a few words. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you. Welcome. Bienvenidos. If this is not your first time at Su Teatro, it's okay. Welcome back. If this is your first time, sin vergüenza. I think you need to be here, right? We are really honored to do this. I mean, it makes sense, right? This is what Su Teatro was created for. Su Teatro grew out of the Chicano movement, right? We learned the story about we are the beneficiaries of 7 generations. We are responsible for 7 generations. People come up nowadays and they do these land acknowledgements and pieces and things like that, but I don't think we ever put it into a really solid context of this hemisphere belonged to us. And we're not welcoming strangers, we are welcoming family. And there will be a time someday as these people, new immigrants, begin to grow and develop in our city and become part of this city, and 20 years from now, their children are going to say, you know, when we were hurting and we came here, what did you do? What did you do to help us survive? Did you say, no, go back to where you came from? We heard that before, and we had to say, no, we were already here, right? So we were here for all of us to be here. This is our opportunity. This is our opportunity to really dig deep into what we believe in. This is really about what do you stand for. And for you to be here in Su Teatro space, you know exactly what we stand for. You're an example of that. Thank you for doing that. I want to thank Mark Cornetta, Jesse Ogas. You like Maria Empanada? How's that? All right. Thank you, Mark, for taking care of that. Thank you all very much. This is really not a stretch. This is what we're supposed to be doing. I want to thank you all out for coming out tonight. Thank you, Channel 9. Thank you, everybody. Give a real robust conversation because we're going to fix it, right? We're going to make it work in the long run because this is about us. This is about humanity. And that's the side we land on. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias.
Tony talks about what we're here for, and I think another common thread that we're going to hear tonight in the voices in the documentary, now you can tell that the mic is on, the voices in the documentary and the voices that you're going to hear in the town hall tonight is pride. As some of us are Coloradans and Denverites by birth, others of us are Coloradans and Denverites by choice. I'm here by choice. We're going to meet some folks who are also here by choice tonight. And I hope that they share the pride that I have and that it's shared by Native Denverites as well of how the city has reacted with caring and compassion when presented with a challenge over the last year of how to welcome newcomers to our community. I'm equally proud of the folks that I work with at 9 News for supporting the type of work that doesn't just talk about a problem, but talks with the folks involved and stops to listen to their voices and dedicates the time of some of our most talented journalists to spend an entire year sorting through the challenges of folks in our community. I'd like to introduce you to the producers of Una Vida Nueva, Chris Hansen, our photojournalist, and Angeline McCall, our race and culture reporter.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Chris Hansen.
And I'm Angeline. Thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot to us. It was probably it was a big idea about a year ago, and we have to thank so many people at 9 News, Mark Cornetta, Tim Ryan. Thank you so much for making sure that we have the time to do a project like this. And such a big thank you as well to some of the people who oversaw this project, Nelson Garcia, Chris Vanderveen. But most important, thank you to the people who shared their lives with us. Some really heartfelt moments, tough moments, happy moments, everything in between. And it was probably a year ago that we started this, a little over. And so we hope that you enjoy it, but we also hope that you find it thought-provoking, insightful, something that perhaps you hadn't thought of when you watch it.
Without further ado, I say enjoy the show.
allá y uno impulsa también. Mira, claro. Y bueno, si por favor, ahí tienen también que colaborar también porque tú sabes que
no esperaba esto, pero nos tocó. Ven. Sí, sí se siente, está triste porque uno se pone a pensar y le pega la tristeza, uno nunca había estado así, yo nunca había vivido así. Ya va, hija. Ya va. Llama a tu papá. Y es duro, es difícil estar aquí en la calle.
Aquí me siento con mucho frío. Sí, con mucho frío, de verdad. Nunca imaginé llegar aquí y estar así como estoy. Sí, de verdad. Sí, primera noche que voy a pasar aquí afuera, debajo del puente, porque estaba durmiendo en una casa y nos sacaron.
Me queda 2 horas de aquí.
Pero yo creo que mañana.
This is how I spent much of 2023, meeting mothers and fathers and children, talking with them through messages on WhatsApp, looking for a story buried underneath the politics and headlines. They came in search of a better life. What they found wasn't necessarily better or worse, just something different, something new.
Una vida nueva para mí y para mi familia, para mi hija, para mis hijos, sí.
Acá, pues, es una vida nueva, comenzar de cero, pues. Eso, comenzar de cero.
Filadelfia y New Jersey, Nueva York. Es que en Denver no hay refugio. Aquí no hay refugio para migrantes. Eso es lo malo.
Get an answer, and get an answer now, before you move anybody out of this camp. Go get an answer.
We're sending out the distress signal. This is, without question, a humanitarian crisis.
No nos gusta, pero es lo que hay. Y la vida no es fácil empezando, a veces es fuerte.
Struggle is beautiful, right? Struggle is what makes us who we are.
Mi niñez fue perfecta, nunca me hizo falta nada. Y eso fue lo que a mí me llevó a salir del país, porque a mí nunca me hizo falta nada y ver a mis hijos pasando necesidad. No tenía que vestir, no tenían zapatos y yo lloraba. Yo decía, no puedo tener a mis hijos así. Llegamos al muro y ahí, pues saltando cercas y todo, fue la única manera que pudimos pasar y pasamos de noche. Aparte de eso, llegamos a este lado y nos tocó escondernos en un container de basura. Nos escondimos en un basurero donde pasamos la noche para poder llegar acá a la iglesia. Llegamos a la meta, lo que tanto esperábamos en todo ese camino. Después de 4 meses llegar aquí, estábamos en Estados Unidos. Claro que no sabíamos todo lo que nos faltaba ni todo lo que nos esperaba.
Thousands of migrants make a home on a few blocks of sidewalk outside El Paso's Sacred Heart Church. For many, this landmark means they made it, finally.
El momento fue extraordinario, no lo sabría describir. Cuando llegué acá, me acuerdo llegué a este sitio y me puse a llorar después de todo lo que había pasado.
Most walked 3,000 miles from South America, carrying sick children through the jungle, dodging criminals who kidnap, rape, and steal, walking past the bodies of people who died on the same journey. before arriving here at this church turned shelter.
Pero en verdad estamos en incertidumbre, pues, porque no sabemos cómo actuar, tenemos el miedo.
Roberto is 25 days into his stop in El Paso.
No, pero es que frío no había.
Fear keeps him here. His final destination is Canada. He has no papers.
Hemos burlado las leyes federales de Estados Unidos al cruzar ilegalmente. Pero, ¿cómo hacemos si nosotros queremos un mejor porvenir para nosotros mismos y nuestros hijos?
Of the over 30,000 migrants who came to Denver this year, most crossed the border here in El Paso.
Angustiados, ya como cansados.
Maria and her kids, Jose Angel and Maria Angel, traveled 4 months just to get stuck here, afraid of getting deported.
Uno se siente como entre la espada y la pared y uno se aflige, se agota. Llegan momentos que uno dice que ya no puede más. Toca tener fuerza sacar fuerzas de donde no hay por los hijos, porque si yo no tengo fuerzas, mis hijos tampoco, ellos dependen de mí.
"10 hours and one interstate connect Denver to El Paso. We headed south, hoping to meet migrants at the start of their route north. We wanted to know how they got here and how they plan to move forward to create a new life.
Estamos más cerca porque, claro, estamos más cerca cada vez porque después de 4 meses solo veíamos lejos. Ya estamos cerca, ya nos falta poco.
The first group of Venezuelan migrants started arriving in Denver in late 2022. Over the first few days of December, 25 arrived. Our project began in January. By the end of the month, 4,300 had come to Colorado's capital.
Viaje tranquilo, a pesar de todo fue tranquilo. Pasamos los checkpoints de reglamento con nuestra documentación y aquí estamos. Yo llegué acá en bus, en autobús acá a Denver. Colorado es un buen país, un buen estado de Estados Unidos, muy acogedor.
The bus ticket from El Paso to Denver, $90, the biggest city with the cheapest ticket. Roberto was the first person we met in El Paso who arrived in Denver. This is not his final destination, but it's the closest he's felt to accomplishing his goal.
Ahora sí me siento libre. Es un camino, todavía nos queda un poco de camino difícil, pero en realidad me siento libre. Estoy en un país con libertad. Es muy difícil la situación en mi país. Es difícil cuando tú quieres lo mejor para tu país, para tu pueblo, y no puedes hacerlo. Me sentía como manos atadas. Pero fue muy difícil tomar esa decisión. No tomar la decisión de salir, sino tomar la decisión de dejarlos ellos allá.
Roberto hopes to send money back to his kids one day so they can make the journey themselves. Until then, he'll be alone.
¿Qué es lo que más extraño? Mis hijos, mi padre, mi madre. Es lo que más extraño en este viaje. Y sabes, el calor de mi casa, mi perro, my dog. I'm missing my dog. I'm missing my father, my mom, my child, my people, my street, my house, my country. I miss every country.
And still, he left.
Yeah. Por fin, o sea, juego en un parque aquí. Es el primer día que vengo a un parque aquí en Estados Unidos. Sí, diferente. Y por fin salgo del hotel porque siempre estaba allá aburrido.
Y son niños, y pues esa felicidad es lo que me llena. Yo digo, bueno, al menos les estoy ofreciendo algo que no les fuese podido ofrecer estando en Venezuela.
Entonces yo me siento mejor aquí que allá.
¿Cómo se siente aquí en Denver y después del camino?
Acá en Denver, bien, pues ya no me quiero ir de aquí. Uno lo hace y luchando y todo, a veces nos arrepentíamos en el camino porque yo decía, no sé por qué lo hice y todo, pero ya estando acá ya uno dice, sí, yo lo hice fue por esto. Pero sí me veo ya en un futuro acá, en Denver.
Ya escapé, ya escapé.
As the migrants arrived, the city of Denver improvised, turning hotels into shelters. But as those shelters filled, the city elected to impose a 2-week deadline, 14 days to stay, 14 days to find work and housing. In early January, 1,800 migrants were staying in Denver shelters.
Lo más difícil de estar acá en el hotel es que el hotel queda muy retirado del centro. Y si nosotros necesitamos salir, nosotros ahorita no contamos con un sueldo porque no tenemos trabajo estable. Necesitamos generar ingresos para poder pagar un alquiler y irnos.
Estoy caminando a agarrar el bus para dirigirme al Home Depot. Voy hasta allá porque a veces salen oportunidades de trabajo. No, a veces no. A veces no hay trabajo. Ahí, como bien.
Wilmer and his family have a week left in the shelter to find another place to go.
Ayer fueron y nos tocaron la puerta y nos dijeron que si sabíamos que nos quedan 7 días para desalojar. Preocupados porque ya nos llegó la carta de desalojo y se nos ha hecho complicado. Tenemos que buscar alquiler. Piden una serie de requisitos ahí para alquilar. No tengo una idea así de qué tipo de trabajo me puede salir, pero lo que me sale, lo hago.
Wilmer needs someone to give him a chance.
Buenos días. ¿No necesita alguien que lo ayude? Para jale. Alguien para el jale. Para trabajo. ¿No tiene nadie? Ya, gracias.
He has 7 days left in the shelter with his family.
Sí, ellos dependen de mí, sí. Ellos dependen de mí. Ellos son mi motor para yo salir todos los días.
As many migrants struggle to put down roots, others leave Denver heading elsewhere.
Me siento como ansioso. Quiero continuar el viaje.
Es un poco triste que es el último día para usted.
Sí, bueno, alegre en parte, pero también en parte tristeza. Pero porque cada vez estoy más lejos de los míos en Venezuela.
Roberto wants to live in Canada, so the city of Denver bought him a bus ticket.
¿Se siente un poco nervioso?
No, nervioso no, ansioso. Es la ansiedad por querer seguir avanzando. Por llegar ya, que acabar con esta travesía y llegar a nuestro sitio que vamos a llegar.
City leaders figured it's cheaper to bus migrants to their final destinations
St. Louis, New York.
than it is to pay to shelter them.
Cuando llegamos a Denver, nosotros en realidad, Angelín, nos sentimos en libertad.
It was in December, and I remember it was a call from the city to say, we need your help. And I said, well, what's going on? She goes, well, we're trying to come up with a donation, but also an event. And I said, for what? She goes, well, we've had a group of Venezuelan families have arrived and we'd like to do something. I'm like, wow, what? And I'm like, absolutely, let me see what we can do. And they said, we already have the place. So we got together, we started thinking. I mean, that's when we found out a lot of what was going on.
For years, Yoli Casas has worked with Spanish-speaking children with her nonprofit, Vida Wellness.
¿Estos son los niños? Ahí están. Ya llegaron.
Yoli saw a new need in the faces of children arriving with nothing.
Hola, hola. It's hard. I mean, ¿cómo están? Bien. You realize how hard it's going to be for them. Not impossible, and resilient. Children are very resilient, more than us. But still, you know, it's like a scar, I think. Children have gone through a lot, and so it's going to reflect on the rest of their life. But, you know, I mean, no child should go through this, but I know that's life. So it's hard, really hard. Okay, okay, let me llamar a María Elena. Okay, gracias.
As more migrants arrived, Yoli shifted her focus on getting migrants out of the shelters and into more permanent housing.
7. Sí, pero hoy vamos a tener 7 casas. 7 casas que la gente, la familia se va a mudar hoy. Entonces sí, eso es lo mejor.
Yoli's team helps families with the first month's rent and deposit when they sign a lease of their own.
For me, hearing that and seeing those checks come out, knowing that people are, you know, are making it, it's a huge thing for me. Buenos días, ¿cómo están? Right now they're going to start delivering the checks. The families will go and sign the lease, get the keys. La pregunta aquí es, ellos seguro que te dijeron que ya tienes tu carta, tienes tu aceptación en los apartamentos.
Ok, entonces la situación es esta. Y entonces aquí estaría la entrega del cheque.
Yoli's team received $2.6 million in state funding to help migrants get out of the shelters and into permanent housing. So far, they've helped 2,600 people, like Fabiola.
Este es un paquete de bienvenida. Bienvenida a su nueva casa.
Gracias. Gracias. Gracias.
Mira. ¿Viste? Es como cuando dicen que uno está enamorado, que se alborota el cuerpo, así igualito. Uno entrar y sentir esa emoción es demasiado, es algo demasiado. Eso, mami.
You know, they have a place. You go home, a place and cook. The kids can sleep at night and, you know, go to school.
Ese es el grande y este es el pequeño. Mira tu cuarto.
This is not temporary sheltering. They have homes.
Primeros días no dormí. No dormía porque como ella dormía conmigo, yo pasaba la noche, me despertaba y se me salían las lágrimas sola y yo decía, ¿dónde estará Ramona?
Maria's dog Ramona came with her family on the journey.
Y es parte de mi familia, es como si fuese mi hija. Me duele igual que mis hijos.
City rules mean Ramona can't stay at the shelter with them, so she's at the animal shelter.
Siento cosquilleos en el estómago.
Today is just a visit, only for 30 minutes.
¡Ramona! ¡Ay, Dios mío, mira mi bebé! ¡Ramona! ¿Qué pasó?
María Ángel.
Hola, mi amor, ¿cómo está mi bebé? Hola,
Maria needs to find a new place to stay so they can all be together again. Until then, they'll live like this. Separate.
Ya, pronto vamos a estar con Ramona. Pronto vamos a estar con Ramona, ¿viste, papi? Ya.
Exactamente mañana son 3 meses. Imagínate tú eso, ¿eh?
Migrants know the journey sometimes follows its own path.
Yo siempre hago, ¿cuándo será el día que vamos a estar juntos? ¿Cuándo?
A mistake on the immigration application separated Jocelyn and her family at the border. She was allowed in. Her family had to wait back in Mexico.
Perdón.
3 months they waited, apart. 3 months of uncertainty, doubt, and worry. Denver was a stop for Jocelyn.
Han sido 3 meses de dolor para mí. Pero a lo que yo me enteré que le salió la cita, a mí se me pasó, me volvió el alma al cuerpo, mami. Ellos hoy precisamente están en migración. Están pasando el día de hoy para acá a Estados Unidos. Ay, yo voy a abrazar a mis hijas tan bellas, mis princesas que yo amo tanto. Y bueno, voy a llorar porque yo soy una llorona de primera.
New York City was their ultimate goal. 3 months later, finally, the day she's waited for.
No me imaginé que iba a ser tanto tiempo. 3 meses, imagínate.
I'm going to cut to the chase and be very clear. We're in desperate need, but we have arrived at a point where our resources are stressed. Denver cannot continue to financially shoulder this burden alone. In March and April, we were seeing 20 to 30 arrivals per day. On Tuesday, we saw close to 400. 5 months, 10,000 migrants, $16 million, anywhere from 4,000 to 2,000 migrants per night, new to the city. We are in a humanitarian crisis. I don't know what perfection looks like in a humanitarian crisis. I think the worst thing we could have is migrants who come into our city who also will end up on our streets. And we are doing everything we can to hold that dike from breaking and having an even greater crisis of people unhoused in our community. Yes, ma'am.
After seeing as few as 34 migrants per day in the spring, the week of May 8th, all that changed. 1,500 arrived in Denver in 1 week. The start of the second mass group of arrivals Mayor Hancock knew was coming.
Sí, es que en Denver no hay refugio. Aquí no hay refugio para inmigrantes. Eso es lo malo. Están abriéndolo ustedes para unos días y ahí tienen que estar en la calle. Exacto.
Yoli Casas also expected it.
Eso es fácil. Ustedes van a ir caminando. ¿Saben cómo llegar? I didn't have to think about it. I never even sat down and thought about what I was doing. It was more like, okay, next day, what do we do? And then it just happened to stop. Philadelphia y New Jersey, New York.
Children, women, and families slept overnight in this parking garage, a makeshift migrant registration center, in hopes they will get a room in a shelter or get a bus ticket to leave.
Ya tengo 3 días de estar aquí, durmiendo acá. Me anoté en una lista donde pones tu nombre, tu apellido y la ciudad donde vas. Es difícil, pero ¿qué vamos a hacer si no tenemos algo estable que pues los refugios están llenos?
When moving forward on the journey comes to a stop, being a mom doesn't.
No sabemos qué, pues estamos esperando la lista, que nos llamen, que nos pasen. Yo estoy desesperada porque ya yo tengo 3 días. No estamos comiendo bien aquí, porque acá no nos dan comida, o sea, esto no es un refugio.
Hacia aquí, no les van a dar estadía porque están llenísimos. I think seeing the children come here, I can relate to that. However, I feel like they come with a lot more trauma, and I didn't have to walk across the countries or see things that they have seen. I arrived when I was almost 17, and I moved from Venezuela. And my parents, we came here to the United States for a sabbatical for my father, for my 8th grade, and I realized that there was those opportunities. It was hard. I didn't know the language. I didn't know many people, but most important, I was alone. I understand when people leave their families, I was just me. and leaving my mom and my dad and my brothers. And so I think that was one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life. I still have feelings about it, you know.
No, esperando. Ya están viendo los pasajes y esperando los hoteles.
When Yoli sees families outside, she finds the funding to get them inside, part of her passion.
Hey, Jackie, how are you?
This time,
do you have 11 rooms?
It means booking 11 hotel rooms for families that were sleeping in the parking garage.
How far is it? Do you happen to have 11? Well, we're a nonprofit. You don't have anything left? Okay. They are confirmed. It means it's happening. Véngase para acá. We work with families to get them homes and housing, but we have the kids all the time. And I hear about their dreams and aspirations and what they want to achieve, going to school. When you see them laugh and play, you know, you realize that they are resilient, and with love and care, you can get through it.
Ahí nos vemos pronto. Adiós.
Okay, señor. This is the right lane to take the I-70 West ramp.
Igual no es muy lejos. Está un poquito cerca. Pero en el hotel ya estaban pasando muchas cosas y ya están empezando a sacar gente, porque lo vimos, que sacaban gente, y yo decía, no quiero imaginarme cuando nos toquen la puerta y nos digan que tenemos que desalojar, porque ¿a dónde vamos? Yo les agradezco mucho que nos hayan abierto las puertas, porque en estos momentos no podemos estar en la calle.
Finally, Maria unpacks so much more than the clothes she brought with her.
Ya los niños pueden estar más tranquilos y bueno, ya no tenemos esa zozobra de que nos van a venir a tocar la puerta hoy, mañana, en la noche y nos van a sacar a la calle, pues.
A developer says Maria and her family can stay in a vacant property for free.
Entonces yo decía, no sé si es Dios que está actuando, pero de verdad agradecida con todas las personas que han apoyado y han aportado como su granito de arena cada quien. Muy agradecida, de verdad.
Maria is home. Not that this home will be without struggle.
Oh, un dolor de cabeza. Es desesperante, y más cuando los niños piden y uno tiene que darlo.
Jorgelis and Maria come here every Thursday.
Pensar en todo, literalmente en todo, en pagarle la aseguranza del carro, la gasolina, el alquiler, en este caso nosotros.
Ven, Mati, por aquí.
Este banco de comida, ¿cómo te ayuda?
Todos los jueves venimos y pues podemos agarrar muchas cosas, aceite que es necesario, arroz, verduras, frutas, que a los niños les encanta. Y bueno, mucho porque es todas las semanas y no ahorro mucho dinero que no voy al supermercado.
Se ha acabado todo, Angelín. Como los niños están de vacaciones, están siempre en la casa y todos se comen. No, ya no queda nada. Todo ya no los comimos.
En la tienda me toca comprar que si las harinas, el queso, la mantequilla, pero siempre complemento, gracias a Dios, con muchas cosas que puedo llevar de aquí. Gracias.
Pero sí, en realidad sí es de mucha ayuda y de verdad se le agradece, pues, porque si no fuera por esto, ahorita no tuviéramos nada. No tuviéramos ni qué comer.
Back home with groceries.
Ramona, entra. Ramona, entra.
Back home with Ramona.
Ya. Estamos ya. No tenía comida, como 3 semanas sin plata. Ya tenía la nevera vacía. Hasta ayer nos duró el arroz, que yo dije, ya se acabó el arroz, ya no sé qué vamos a comer. Ya no teníamos comida. ¿Qué quieres, Mati? ¿Fresas?
Hubo bastantes cosas hoy.
¿Sí te gustó? ¿Está rica? Sí, mentiroso.
Pero es una zozobra, es una zozobra vivir así, de verdad, es incómodo.
Yo decía, esto es el colmo de los colmos. Yo en Estados Unidos pasando hambre. Porque uno se viene, en Venezuela se aguanta mucha hambre, mucha necesidad. pero por la situación y porque la plata no alcanza. Entonces yo me vine a Estados Unidos y que para mejorar y estaba peor. Y yo, ¿qué estoy haciendo? ¿Estoy igual o peor? No es fácil. Y más cuando uno sabe que tiene hijos, que uno tiene que buscar la manera de solucionar.
Trabajo, dale, walkie. Es fuerte la vida del inmigrante, no le cesa a nadie del mundo, amigo. Trabajo.
Without a work permit, there aren't many job prospects for migrants. So every day, they go to Home Depot.
De verdad no conseguimos trabajo aquí en Denver, amiga. Es la realidad.
Walkie. A veces hasta las 2 de la tarde me han sacado a trabajar 5 o 4 horas y toca trabajarlo porque a veces no hay dinero para uno comer y cosas así. Walkie, amigo, walkie.
The same routine.
Jale.
Ask for work, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Queremos salir adelante y no conseguimos un trabajo estable. Yo por lo menos se lo mando a mi mamá. Aquí te van a llorar, pero para adelante, amiga. Yo quiero ayudar a mi mamá. Tiene lepra, es una roncha que sale. Por eso, pero para adelante. Sí. Jale.
¡Ey!
Sí, bueno, se siente uno como mal, porque no todo el día ahí sin hacer nada y se van para la casa con los brazos cruzados. Entonces se ve feo eso. Es mal así, todo el día ahí parado. ¿Qué hay, mana?
¿Qué hay?
Mano, hay pollo, hay cochino y hay carne.
Coming to the same place with a different plan, Evie makes her own opportunities.
Una arepa vale 5 y la bebida vale $1.
¿Ya la probó?
She earns around $80 each day, selling arepas to the migrants looking for work.
Sí, me gusta así. Mejor porque no tengo que estar todo el día ahí, que para acá, que para allá. Vendo mis arepas y me voy para mi casa. Que es mi manera de gustar de yo trabajar así, para no trabajar a los demás, pues. Prefiero trabajar por mi cuenta. Y gano poco, pero me va bien.
When she was in the shelter, she couldn't find a job, so she made one. And that keeps her off the streets.
Nosotros venimos sin dinero. Nosotros venimos sufriendo. Ellos tienen en el bolsillo $1.700. Me piden $3.400 para arrendar. ¿Qué era lo mejor? Alquilar, comprar eso. No es lo que me gusta, pero es lo que toca. Por ahora es lo que toca.
This cycle defines what we will see the rest of the year. The city's shelter time limit imposes a deadline. Migrants who can't find work, can't earn money, can't secure housing.
No tengo nada. No tengo nada.
Trabajando roofing, resbalé y pegué la muñeca a la punta de la pistola y se accionó y me clavó un clavo en la muñeca.
¿Y dónde dormiste?
Aquí al frente, en el techito que está ahí. Con una sábana y coloqué el bolso como almohada.
This is the first migrant encampment in Denver, the beginning of another crisis.
Pregúntale a ellos, ¿a ti te gusta vivir aquí? ¿No les gusta vivir aquí?
Y estoy dispuesto a pasar lo que tenga que pasar antes que la situación mejore. No, todo el tiempo no va a ser así.
Y no fue fácil, o sea, ese camino hacia acá no es fácil. Se arriesga mucho. Si pasa algo, puedes perder todo. Entonces, es una decisión que no se toma así de la noche a la mañana.
Y nosotros decidimos como que es todo o nada. Arriesgamos lo poquito que teníamos y nos vinimos para acá. Siempre trato de hacerlo lo mejor. Todo lo que hago trato de hacerlo mejor porque, bueno, como mi mamá a veces siempre dice, si vas a hacer algo, hazlo bien, si no, no lo hagas.
This is the closest thing Jorgelis has found to a job. It's not consistent, but when she gets a call to earn some money with odd jobs, she takes it.
Pero si quisiera algo mejor, más como fijo, que donde yo vaya todos los días y sepa que tengo un trabajo.
We can go out front and cut coupons if it'll be a little cooler.
Ok. Solo había visto esto en las películas. No me imaginé que en realidad lo utilizaran de verdad. Voy a probarlo a ver qué me dicen en el mercado.
Even if this job doesn't offer consistency, it offers flexibility. Today, no one could watch Dorheli's son, Matías.
¿Tú me amas? ¿Cuánto?
Mucho.
¿Mucho, mucho, mucho?
Sí.
Yo también. Demasiado.
Ya
Hasta el
te ayudo.
infinito.
Más que todo por mejor futuro para los niños, que tengan otras oportunidades que nosotros no pudimos tener y eso.
¿Cómo fue la infancia de ellos?
Oh.
Era eso, era ir a la escuela. A veces querían un juguete, nosotros no teníamos para dárselo. Y ellos eran niños, pues no entendían lo que estaba pasando y a veces...
Claro, porque a veces uno no tiene como decirle que no. Es algo de que ellos simplemente son niños y ellos piden, ameritan. Y era que no alcanzaba el dinero para nada. No nos alcanzaba porque teníamos que el alquiler, la comida, todo eso, y él solo costeaba todo. Comíamos, dormíamos. Comíamos, dormíamos. No la podía sacar a ningún lado, no tenía como una buena infancia.
¿Quién va a entrar primero al baño? ¿Los dos? Ah, bueno, anda rápido y te cepilla los dientes para que María Ángel entre. Apúrate. Nada es fácil, el camino no es fácil, todo es duro, la vida es así. Yo misma yo sola me doy ánimo porque digo que todo sacrificio tiene una recompensa más adelante. José Ángel, no se te olvide traer la COVID.
When Maria came to the United States, she came with a dream.
Yo lo que quiero es que ellos sean profesionales, que ellos estudien.
Entonces vino a Estados Unidos para darnos ese futuro. Porque mi hermano quería ser piloto de avión y yo doctora.
School in the United States offers that chance to María Ángel.
En Venezuela porque nunca aprendíamos nada y íbamos al colegio, pero no nos enseñaban nada bien.
All right. Okay, listos. Aquí dice where.
Where?
Es una pregunta ¿dónde? Where are we gonna go?
Where? Ah.
Every day, José Ángel starts his day learning a language still foreign.
Con pena, porque cuando empezaron a hablar inglés, me confundo y no conozco lo que dicen.
José Angel's school, Garden Place, took in 25 new students in 2023. District-wide, Denver Public Schools saw only 5 students from Venezuela newly enrolling in the 2021 academic school year, 80 the next year, 168 the year after that. This year, more than 1,000. Administrators placed them in language immersion courses. Most of José Angel's classes are in Spanish, but not all of them.
Tengo que aprender poquito a poco. Mientras tanto, voy conociendo más el inglés y voy entendiéndolo más.
Y aquí tengo que esperar y esperar que llegue primero María Ángel y después llega José Ángel. Ahora me vas a decir cómo se dice dog.
Dog, perro.
¿Cómo se dice black?
Black, negro.
White.
Blanco.
Brown.
Brown. Marrón.
Así se lo sabe. Todo el día me ha tocado correr.
Hola, mamá.
Hola, pa.
Hola.
Todo sacrificio algún día tiene una recompensa y lo más importante es que ellos estén estudiando. Es mi sueño para ellos, verlos graduarse algún día, de que ellos sean, que yo me sienta orgullosa y que yo diga lo hice. Que yo me siento orgullosa de que pude hacer algo por mis hijos y que no los dejé allá en Venezuela en aquella miseria. Muy emocionante porque en todo el día no los veo. ¿Cuál era? Todo el día pasan en la escuela. Ya ahorita espero mucho, pero vengo con ellos. Ellos vienen contentos.
Summer saw numbers in the dozens. By fall, dozens turned to hundreds. Early September began the third mass group of arrivals in 2023. First in the 100s per day, then over 200, then over 300. 1,900 arrived in the final week of September alone.
We need shelter space. People need a place to go. They have nowhere to go.
No shelter space, nowhere to go. This cycle repeats. This time, though, nonprofits are out of funding. Migrants no longer receive help to move out when their time is up.
Where would you like me to take them?
I can get an answer for you. Just
Get an answer, and get an answer now, before you move anybody out of this camp.
On their last day in the shelter, tents go up just outside it.
Coño, realmente no sabemos qué está pasando.
The city says migrants are breaking the rules by setting up an encampment on something that looks like public land, but isn't.
This is an enforcement action on our migrant population where they have kicked them out of the hotel, and the next day they are in violation of the camping ban.
Community advocates want answers for people who don't understand what is happening. The city says they notified everyone in the camp.
Nada. No nos explican nada. No sabemos qué hacer porque tanta cosa que dicen, ay, no sabemos qué hacer.
There is nowhere for these folks to go.
Claro, porque también me puede pasar a mí porque yo me sacan de donde yo estoy, también yo tengo que dormir en la calle.
Migrants who are in the shelter today know they could be in the same position tomorrow.
Igualito, ellos son venezolanos igual que yo, todos somos seres humanos, todos sufrimos, todos queremos un apoyo.
We have got to stop and find a better solution and put people indoors. We have families, we have small children and infants that are living in this encampment. The right of way. Yeah, we'll just put them on the right of way.
On a day that makes little sense to people caught in it, the city permits this, not okay on one side of the street, just fine on the other.
Mudándonos para acá, trayendo todas las cosas para acá. Estresado, pero ahí así son las cosas. Arriba, más arriba. Sí, porque es verdad, tienen sus razones y eso son cosas que tienen que respetar. Esto se va a poner más lleno, cada vez más personas.
We cannot continue to treat people this way, and this is just the beginning. This is going to go on all winter long.
En el refugio acá 33 días. Gracias a ellos pues me acobijaron mucho tiempo.
On his last day in the shelter,
Estoy aquí por ellos.
Moises had $800 and a choice to make.
Tengo hambre, papá.
Use the money to rent a room for his family for a few days or buy a car.
Yo nunca pensé dormir en un carro. Vivir en un carro nunca pasó por mi mente. Siempre pensé pues en una casa, llego, trabajo, me arriendo, pero el trabajo no ha sido difícil, no ha sido fácil. No ha sido fácil conseguir trabajo. Puede ver acá con lo que yo uso para cocinar.
Every night, he doesn't sleep, awake from the one worry he cannot escape, providing enough for his kids.
Yo los abrigo a ellos y a mí me toca a veces salir a caminar para que se me quite el frío. Yo estoy caminando por aquí a las 2, 3 de la mañana. El carro ahí, yo caminando para allí y para acá buscando que darme calor yo.
He knows this isn't a replacement for a home, but what choice does he have?
Imagínense, para mí es difícil, pero me toca luchar por mi familia. Difícil, pero creemos en un Dios. En nombre de Dios, que si nos va a dar fuerzas para superar etapas, porque todo empezando es difícil. Pero bueno.
The Venezuelans arriving towards the end of 2023 face the same struggles of those who arrived before. Wilmer remembers how it felt.
En ese tiempo yo vine aquí con mi familia y me preocupaba mucho que no tuvieran un techo donde dormir y un trabajo estable pues, para poder darle de comer y todo eso. Sí, ahora es diferente, sí. No, ya no estoy preocupado.
This is his first time working construction. In Venezuela, Wilmer was a taxi driver.
Poco a poco fui aprendiendo, me fueron enseñando y ya ahorita he aprendido muchas cosas. Que todavía me faltan aprender muchas cosas, pero sí he aprendido muchas cosas de la carpintería.
It took him 5 months to get hired here. The worries that once kept him up at night, gone, with a job to go back to every day.
Es algo que me gusta hacer el trabajo. La familia creo que es lo más importante que puede tener una persona. Por mi familia, tengo una familia y necesito trabajar por ellos.
Mi primera hija, ya son 12 años y claro, significa mucho porque uno no cumple años todos los días. Y después de que pasa tantas cosas que pasamos, llegar aquí y saber que estamos vivos es importante. Celebrar un año más.
This birthday feels so different than the last.
No había agua en la casa donde estábamos. Ese día fue un estrés porque no había agua.
Al principio estaba triste porque no había agua. Y no teníamos con qué bañarnos y eso.
Y este año, pues no tenía como pensaba hacerle un cumpleaños. No tengo plata para hacer un cumpleaños, pero sí como para hacerle una decoración y picarle una torta.
A difference of 12 months, a new country, a place to call home. A dream then turned to reality now, 12 months later.
Me siento mejor y feliz, porque es más divertido aquí. Desde pequeña, a veces yo quería venir para acá, porque aquí se cumplen todos los sueños.
A new life is something to be celebrated, but even this celebration cannot erase the past and the doubt, a consequence of the journey they took to get here.
Esa es la mejor parte de que yo estoy, desde que estoy aquí. Siempre me lleno de ellos. Cuando yo a veces me desespero y digo que no puedo en este país, me acuerdo de ellos, porque las oportunidades que ellos tienen no las tengo yo. Tienen derecho a la educación, ellos estudian tranquilamente. La verdad, si yo vuelvo a nacer, no lo hago. No lo hago.
After all the sacrifice, she regrets coming here.
Yo vuelvo a nacer y no hago lo que hice. No me meto a esa selva, ni me traigo a mis hijos por ahí. En las noches yo le tenía miedo a esa selva. Y en las orillas de los ríos, los muertos así como que se los llevaba la corriente y quedaban en las orillas. Y en los pantanos conseguían manos de niños chiquitos así, de niñitos, como que se enterraban los bebés ahí. Conseguían manitos así y eso era horrible. Pero los días pasaban y caían las noches y llovía todos los días. Hubo un momento que yo me senté y yo le decía a mi cuñado, a Felo, le decía, ya no puedo más, sigan ustedes. Sigan. Y yo le decía a María Ángel, mami, sigue que tú eres fuerte, vete con tu tía. Y yo me quedé ahí con José Ángel y yo decía, no puedo. Me senté en una piedra y me quedé ahí y yo decía, no puedo. No teníamos nada que comer y era una debilidad que sentíamos en el cuerpo que yo decía, no voy a llegar nunca. Pero María Ángel y José Ángel nunca se les va a olvidar. Ellos a veces, ellos odian el pantano. Ellos me dicen, ay mamá, esto parece la selva. Siempre se acuerdan de esas cosas. Cuando ya uno está ahí, uno dice, ¿por qué lo hice? Nunca vengo al sueño americano, nunca llego a los Estados Unidos. Yo vuelvo a nacer y no lo hago.
Cinco ciudades para llegar a Nueva York.
This is how I spent much of 2023.
En este momento,
documenting a city in unprecedented times. No city away from the border received the number of migrants arriving per capita. But this was never meant to be a story about one city's response.
Es como te digo, nuestra vida ha cambiado mucho.
Ha dado un giro de 360.
Ha dado un giro de 360. Realmente sí.
Lo que sí es que nosotros nos hemos caracterizado siempre en trabajar y salir adelante. Pero no nos imaginamos vivir esto que estamos viviendo aquí.
¿Cómo tan rápido?
Tan rápido, exacto, tan rápido.
No creemos en eso del sueño americano ni nada de eso, pero sí creemos de que gracias a Dios no ha ido bien. Hemos visto, como quien dice, los frutos de estar acá.
Como te digo, no ha sido fácil el camino y nunca nos hemos rendido. Siempre hemos estado ahí perseverando, perseverando, perseverando.
Esta nueva vida.
Some came here and found the life they wanted. Others are still searching. No matter where they are in their journey, they all have a new life. Una vida nueva.
This wouldn't be possible without all of the people who shared their lives with us. And some of them are here tonight. It's a little bit dark, so I can't see exactly where they are. But Wilmer, Jorgelis, Everlis, Matías, por favor, de pie. Jeremy también. Jeremy. Y María José Ángel. And María Ángel. Gracias a ustedes, tienen mi corazón, mi amor por siempre. Gracias. And Yoli Casas as well with Vive. And the whole team, the whole team.
Going to take a moment now to get set up for the portion of the town hall that will be broadcast on 9 News on February 3rd. So while folks are getting set up here behind me, so Yoli, feel free to come forward, and Jordan, if you're here as well, Mayor Johnston, we'll get you all set up here. This is the moment when I'll ask you to take out your phones and add a number. All right, so if you could take out your phones and turn them on here, I'll have you add a number to just hold on to for later. I'll repeat the number a bunch of times, so don't worry about it. The reason why I'm asking you to do this is one of the ways that folks in our community have stepped up to help over the last year is that the folks at Rose Community Foundation set up the Newcomers Fund to provide an agile way to help the numerous small nonprofits like Vive Wellness do the work that they're doing without being burdened with all of the administrative and the accounting tasks that would come along with major fundraisers. So Rose Community Foundation set up the Newcomers Fund, which has been supported by individuals and businesses and so forth around the community, and then they in turn very quickly turn around and get dollars out to the nonprofits that are on the ground doing the work. And you will be in good company with a lot of folks who have chipped in a few bucks here and there. On 9 News, our Word of Thanks microgiving campaigns have featured the Newcomers Fund on 3 different occasions. And lest anybody tell you that folks in Colorado do not support welcoming folks to our community, they have raised $188,000 to date just through the Word of Thanks Fund in order to support the Newcomers Fund. So that number to put in your phone is 303-871-1491. I'm going to say it as they lower me into the ground. I've been saying it for 4 years. 303-871-1491. If you text the word HELP to that number, you'll get a link back where at your convenience I would invite you to join me and a bunch of other folks in our community in making a donation to the Newcomers Fund. That is money that can be used immediately in our community to meet needs. Again, the number is 303-871-1491. And if you text the word HELP, you'll get a text back in about 60 seconds that has the information that you need there. All right, who are we missing? We're missing you and Senator. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. Yep, good to see you. So what we're about to do is just a little bit of TV production, in the sense that when folks watch this on February 3rd on 9 News, they will initially see the documentary. They won't see our in-house conversations at the beginning. They'll see Vida Nueva, and then it'll come back immediately to this town hall discussion, which is going to run about 24 minutes. Twice during our town hall discussion, we're going to take these very odd, abrupt little breaks. That's where they're going to insert the commercials, which again are not evil. They support our journalism. It's how we do the work that we do. But we're going to just take little 10-second pauses for those commercial breaks. One of the things that'll happen when we come back from a commercial break is I'll again talk about the Newcomers Fund and how people watching at home can join us in supporting that work. So you're going to hear me repeat some of that stuff as well. Again, everything from kind of here on out is going to be for the TV portion as well. Hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. Good to see you.
Voy a tomar un poquito de agua aquí. Si tienes sed. The only one in a dress.
And for the folks on our production side, if you could just let me know where the single shot is in the world of darkness before us.
Are you getting cues?
What's that?
Are you getting cues?
No, not yet. I am hearing static on my IFB, but not the delightful voices of people.
I don't have anything either.
Are you hearing any?
No. No cues.
I have mic, but no cues. If we need to do time just down below on your cue, that's totally fine by me.
This is the world of TV.
Yeah. All right, let's, you give me cues. Kyle, you'll need to keep an eye on me for going to commercial.
Sure, understood. Would it be possible for you to be on this side just so I'm not canting back over? Thank you.
Kyle, you'll be coming out to Ann.
Hi.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back to the premiere of Una Vida Nueva. We are here at Su Teatro in Denver. Kyle Clark with 9 News, joined by my colleague, race and culture reporter Angeline McCall, and our panel for a broader discussion of what we saw in the documentary and the challenges ahead for Denver. Joining us this evening, our Denver Mayor Mike Johnston. Thank you for being here. State Senator Julie Gonzalez, longtime immigration advocate. Thank you for being here as well. Yoli Casas, who is the head of Vive Wellness, a nonprofit that has been intimately involved in the journey of migrants into our community for the last year. And also Jordan Carasquias, who came here from Venezuela a couple of months ago. Welcome. Bienvenidos.
And Jordan, ¿por qué tomó la decisión de venir a Denver? Y descríbame su experiencia también.
Okay. Buenas noches. He pasado por muchos estados y la verdad Denver, Colorado me ha brindado oportunidades que no me han brindado en otros estados. He conocido personas muy amables, personas que deciden en realidad enfocarse en ayudar a personas emigrantes y personas que son emigrantes y están en la calle.
Hello, good evening. I've been passing for many states, but the state of Colorado offered me so many good things that I haven't had in other states. I've been finding also many nice people who has been giving me opportunities.
And Julie, we want to turn our attention to you because you've been doing so much of the work with migrants. Today on 9 News, you mentioned that you've really hit a point where you're asking Denver to close. What brought you to that point?
You know, what brought me is and the word close might not be the best way. It might be to take a second so we can actually focus on the families and the people that right now are at the shelter. And so I've never seen so many people come and so many people in the last year that are going to come out February 5th. So February 5th for me, it's a date that hurts a lot because it's a date that we have to, for various reasons, we're full. There's just no more space. It's when we start discharging the families who have been in for about 2 months. And therefore, every day until March 28th, there'll be at least 100 people being discharged. And so for me, it's let's us work here, and because it's going to be a circle. And the last thing we want to see in Denver are families and children in the street. So that's where I was coming from.
And how many families by February 5th?
So it's a day. So between February 5th and March 28th, and I counted it, there had 743 families, a total of 3,427 people.
Mayor Johnston, I know that the city is struggling to figure out how to use limited shelter resources. And when the cold hit, you stopped displacing families from shelters. So we saw those pictures of families with young kids living in tents. Why is discharging families from the shelters coming up here on February 5th the right thing to do?
Yeah, we have had since the beginning a length of stay policy, which was folks stayed earlier, it was shorter. We extended it to 14 days for individuals, now 37 days for families. When we hit the cold stretches in November and December, we didn't want to discharge folks onto the street, so we paused that. What's happened now is the incoming volume has continued to increase, and those folks that have stayed in shelter means we are now at almost 5,000 individuals in shelter. That means we filled every single hotel room we have available in the city and county of Denver. And the challenge is even the rate that Yoli described of our exiting, we will have folks entering at the very same rate. So actually that will still leave us with roughly 4,000 or 5,000 people in shelter every night in the city, even at exiting that pace. But now we have the terrible decision of if we don't start exiting folks, we will have the problem that the 250 folks that arrive the next day or the day after will also have no place to go on night one. And so excited to talk more about, I think, the tremendous successes we've found in terms of how we can successfully help folks navigate. What I think is so important about the powerful stories on this documentary is this is not random. We know exactly what leads people to succeed and folks not to succeed. It's if they come with a path to work authorization, they come with federal resources, and we come with a plan for how to coordinate their entry across cities, people can absolutely succeed. In the absence of all three of those things, it is very, very difficult to succeed, and that's what I think Yoli is describing. You think about, I saw all the tears in the audience, you think about what it's like to carry one of those families' stories at any given moment. Yoli carries 5,000 of those right now. I carry 5,000 of those. Council President Pro Tem Sandoval carries 5,000 of those every day. And every time, in that video, it took for you to get 11 people housed in one day. And then we have 4,989 still waiting after those 11. And so that is the challenge. It's now affecting the very services we're trying to provide to the newcomers who are here to meet the volume that continues to come.
You switch seats with the mayor, you switch titles with the mayor. Do you do something differently on February 5th, or is he making the best of a bad situation?
I believe he's making the best of the best situation. What I would say I would do separately is planning strategically if 5 families are housed, right? So we have to actually look at each family. It's like we don't want to have people in the street. So out of the people who are leaving the February 5th and 6th, 22 are not going anywhere. They don't have enough jobs, so we can't get them housed. We don't know what to do. So what I would like to do is, what can I do with those families? Can we do? Because we have a lot of help, a lot of nonprofits that are don't want to go anywhere. They don't have housing yet because they can't afford it. What do we do with those 22 families to give them a little bit more time and not be in the street? And that's where I'm helping. So it's doing the best we can do. Denver has done an amazing. I'm so proud to be living here. So how do we come up? There are solutions. There are solutions. So how do we do that? Because there are 22 families. The rest, they're traveling. The rest are getting housed. The rest are working. But we have 22 out of the 55 that come 5th or 6th. Where are we going to do with them? And we're not going to put them in camp. We don't want any children on the street. So that's where we're stuck. It's like, how do we take care of it? Do we have a place to put them? Do we have encampments? Do we have a church they can go at night, and in the morning they have to leave? They can go to school and go to work. I mean, what can we do? And then we continue to work with those families and say, okay, now they'll get housing maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, those 22 people. But every day there's going to be, imagine, maybe there might be every day 22 people that cannot achieve it. And it will keep adding until March 28th.
And folks continue to come. Mayor Johnson, could Denver slow or stop the flow of migrants into our community if we wanted to, and do we want to?
I mean, I think what's so frustrating about this is a very solvable problem, and this is why we're pushing for federal action that could very easily address this, could provide expedited work authorization, could give cities resources to manage it, could create a coordinated plan for entry. So we believe there is hope on that. We're going to keep pushing. In the absence of that, if we have no dollars at all from the federal government, if we have no work authorization, and we have no plan for coordinated entry, I think the city's going to have to look at all of the above options, including saying that we just won't have any more space unless Aurora and Douglas County and Adams County wants to start opening shelters in their counties. We will need more space. And so I think we will have to look seriously at limiting that inflow. And I just saw Dr. Marrero here tonight. What was so tragic about this story is you saw the folks that were chasing the American dream, and you want them to reach it. And they talked about education as a key one. I've talked to families who shared this, about how bad the education system is, and how they got to America, and it was wonderful. Well, imagine if Dr. Marrero said, you know what, we have 3,000 students who arrived in DPS, and we're going to send all 3,000 of those students to Ashley Elementary, all 3,000. Right. What would the quality of the education then look like at Ashley Elementary if you did that? The very thing they came to achieve here, you'd have classes of 170 kids, you wouldn't have supervision, it wouldn't be safe. No one would say that's a situation that now should make you proud about Denver or being in America. The challenge is that's the situation we create in Denver if you have 40,000 folks arrive in Denver and none in Kansas City or St. Louis or Pittsburgh or Detroit. No city can manage that successfully and deliver the dream we want folks to have. And that's what I think is at risk. It's not just the city's financial crisis, but the humanitarian crisis of folks who came looking for something we now can't deliver.
So now we talk about who else could be involved in taking some of the pressure off of Denver. State Senator Julie Gonzalez.
For instance.
I was shocked in Governor Polis's State of the State address when he talked about problems and challenges in every corner of the state and never said the word migrant. Never so much as acknowledged the fact that the challenge existed. What did you make of that?
I was stunned and disappointed because I have long seen Governor Polis as an ally on these issues, and to not acknowledge this very real humanitarian crisis that not only Denver, but communities across our state are grappling with and trying to navigate, trying to live our values. What a missed opportunity. We have so much work to do, and y'all, we have to do it together. And I think that trying to say, well, that's a city issue, so good luck with that. This is a state issue. Oh, I wish we could, but it's a federal issue. No, this is where we all have to come together as people and address these needs. I wish that Congress could do its job. We're in a place right now where I'm not sure Congress can agree on what day of the week it is. And that's been the case for far too long. And how proud I am of the ways in which Denver, but more importantly, individual people in Denver are showing up and living the values that we all hold so dear. That is who we are as Denverites, as Coloradans, as Americans. And I wish that our politicians, more of our elected officials, would reflect those values in their addresses, in their comments, in the work that we do.
What is the role for the state government? The governor, by way of explanation, when I asked him why he could not say the word migrant in his State of the State, said, I want to keep the pressure where it belongs on the federal government. Plenty of pressure on the federal government. I mean, you've gone there countless times to talk to folks in the Biden administration. Is there a role for the state? What is the role for the state?
I think part of what we are trying to navigate right now within the state legislature, being the part-time legislature that we are, where we are in session from January through May, how do we make every single day count? And how do we use the opportunity that we have to convene and to not only identify the problems, but to collaborate and work towards solutions? Some of the pieces that we have within the legislature, and shout out to the Latino Caucus, shout out to many of my colleagues across the state who have been working similarly to the ways that we have been working here in Denver to figure out how do we best navigate solutions in, say, Carbondale, in, say, Aurora, in, say, Adams County. And what more can and should we be doing? That is one conversation that we are utilizing to convene and collaborate. The other point that we are beginning to work through as we both look towards policy and budget is how do we live our values as well in terms of advancing policies that ease this transition and also support directly the organizations and the municipalities and jurisdictions who are doing the critical work of connecting people to the resources that they so desperately need. That is an ongoing conversation, and it will not be without controversy. And one of the things that I will ask of the people who are watching this and who are here in the audience tonight is to take the time to reach out to people who you may think don't know about the issue or don't care about the issue. Take the opportunity to reach out and just ask a question and engage in a dialogue, because that is part of the problem that I think that we are having to confront right now, where people think, Denver, y'all are doing a great job, good luck with that. And that is not, y'all are, and yet there is so much more work for us to do, and no one organization, no one municipality, no one state can do it all. We all have to work together.
Our conversation continues after this.
Yes, I can.
He's not hearing you. Make sure your acting
Yep.
is on.
¿Tienen el servicio?
¿Puedes oír?
Okay.
It's the most.
Would you like Angelina and I to swap if I'm getting time cues? Nothing. Nothing.
How happy are we?
Can we switch our IFB packs?
I think that makes the most sense. Is yours buried?
Yes.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Ian, we're just going to switch IFB packs, Angelina and I.
Okay, we're 4 minutes heavy on the first break.
Sure.
The first segment.
Oh.
Sure, that's no problem.
So we got about 15 minutes left.
That's no problem. Thank you.
I'm going to ditch it if it's not working.
Understood. Mayor of Una Vida, Clark from 9 News. Want to give you the opportunity to join us in supporting the Newcomers Fund. This is a specially built fund by the Rose Community Foundation, longtime nonprofit in our community, as a way to directly get community support to the small nonprofits doing the work on the ground to support migrants in our community. You see the information there on your screen. Text the word HELP to 303-871-1491. Text HELP to 303-871-1491 to join us in supporting the Newcomers Fund, the most tangible and direct way to get help to those in need in our community. Angeline.
And one of those organizations receiving that money, doing the work on the ground, Yoli, what would you consider as the greatest need right now today for migrants?
Well, in addition to a permit to work, so it would be funding so we can actually support them for housing right now. So one of the things of the Newcomers Fund has been wonderful is that it doesn't come with any red tape. Immediately we get it right away. We can start using it right away for what they believe that, we decide what's best. But right now it's been housing, helping them with a first month rent, helping them with, the deposit, even helping those that already been housed, they lost their job and they need help for their second month or third month. So it's been amazing. It's really helped tremendously.
Y Jordan, ¿qué es algo que usted necesita más en este momento? What do you need most in this moment?
En estos momentos estoy necesitando por lo menos un lugar donde vivir 1 mes, 2 meses, porque gracias a personas buenas como usted logré conseguir un trabajo.
So what I need right now is at least a place where to live, at least for 1 or 2 months, because for good people like you guys, I have a job now.
Y pues en el trabajo pues no me va mal, me va bien y me gusta trabajar, y yo sé que por lo menos con 1 mes, 2 meses que yo logre tener algo de ayuda para vivir con mi familia, yo puedo solucionar ya después, más adelante.
Mayor Johnson, we will sometimes hear from folks in the community who don't think that Denver or Colorado should be a welcoming place for migrants. You'll hear some version of, and I'm going to summarize this, they won't like the summary, but I think it's accurate, that if we were just meaner to people, they would not come here, right? And suggestions vary on what that looks like. You look to Texas, and they're trying razor wire and borderline human trafficking of putting people on planes and dropping them off in the middle of places that they don't know anything about and so forth. And that's not dissuading people. Is cruelty a way to stop this? And I'm going to return to the question I asked earlier, I'm not sure we got an answer to, which is, does Denver have valves that you can turn to slow the flow of people here? I know the city's tried telling people not to come here. That didn't do anything. It doesn't appear that cruelty will stop it, the Texas example. Do you have valves at your disposal?
We don't have good valves because most of those are controlled by the entry policies. I will say what we're looking at is, will we have a cap of what the total number of people are that we can serve in the city? Because that number is not unlimited. Even right now, if we stay at our current population of 5,000, that will be, as you know, about $180 million implication for our budget this year. That's almost 15% of the city budget. So that would be significant cuts to services across the city. We don't think that's sustainable for us or for the individuals that are arriving. So we will look at, is there a possibility to cap the total number of people we can serve and serve well? But no, I don't think cruelty is the answer. When you talk about why people are coming, I mean, I talked to a family this weekend who had a grocery store in Venezuela that they ran. And imagine living through running a small grocery store in a country that has 34,000% inflation. So it means you're selling a Coca-Cola for $1 this week. Next week it's $10. Week after that it's $100. Week after that it's $200, then $300, then $350 for a Coca-Cola. And your salary's not going up. Your wages aren't going up. I mean, the families that tell stories of coming through the Darien Gap, which are the stories you heard about that mountain pass in Panama, I mean, that would be something you would only do if you were in such desperation that you have to leave a country that is completely unsafe. That's what's driving folks here, and that's not just Venezuela. It's happening in countries around the world. That will continue to happen. What we could do is create a system that actually justly welcomes people to places where we have capacity to serve them, and we know we can do that. We're just not doing that currently.
We'll return to wrap up this conversation in just a moment. All right. Oh, we ended up with more time than we thought. Isn't that lovely? Okay. I think we go here.
Sure.
Okay. So then here, then here?
Great.
Okay. Sorry, I just got to find her in the dark. Hi. Welcome back. Thank you for being with us. Senator Gonzalez, prior to your time in the state legislature, you worked as an immigration advocate during former President Donald Trump's first term. A lot of our conversations have talked about what the Biden administration will or will not do, and haven't really focused on the fact that President Trump could be in office a year from now. The architects of his immigration plan have suggested that that will involve mass deportations. It will involve mass detention camps. It possibly could involve using the military budget for expedited trials to get people out of the country. What, if anything, do you think Denver and Colorado should be doing to prepare for a second term of President Trump?
Well, let me first start by saying that draconian and inhumane immigration policies have been promulgated by both Democrats and Republicans. I say that as a Democrat. I say that as someone who has worked to advance just humane policy and just and humane immigration policies under both Republican and Democratic presidents. And we have to do better. And so this idea that, well, it could always get worse is not enough for us to, it's just not enough. We also have to come together and demand that Congress, that our state governments, that our local governments, and not just Denver, do our part. We all have to act. I don't know what how a conservative Republican who is guided by the principles of Christianity can look at our immigration policies and say, yep, that follows Scripture. I don't know how a Democrat who wants to bring forward the Latino vote for the next election cycle can get away with saying, well, it could get worse. No, that's not enough. We all have work to do, and we all have to do it together. And to be quite honest, I think that the work that Denver is doing right now in this moment is a model that other jurisdictions in our state can and should be following. And we need, for those jurisdictions, our neighbors on the other side of Sheridan, on the other side, just north in Adams County, our other communities across this state can and should be doing more, and we all have to come together.
Thank you.
It's an election year. We know that immigration policies don't necessarily mean that people will stop coming. And Jordan, to close us out, ¿qué cree que puede brindar a Denver y la comunidad? What do you believe you can bring to Denver?
Trabajo. La mayor parte de lo que se basa en emigrar es que nosotros pasamos 7 países.
So mostly, like, immigration is that we walk through 7 countries.
Para poder buscar una vida más estable y un futuro para nuestros familiares el día de mañana.
Looking for a better life and a better future for our families.
Y mi resumen trabajo porque con trabajo es que podemos solucionar nosotros y lograr salir de las calles.
So my answer it is working, because working we can afford a life and not living on streets anymore.
Jordan, thank you. As Julie mentioned, we're coming up on this February 5th date. That's going to be a difficult time for the city as folks begin to transition out of shelter. We know that the needs are going to be great. So just remind folks again, if you're interested in donating directly to the nonprofits that are doing the work on the ground to support newcomers in our community, the vehicle for that is the Newcomers Fund through Rose Community Foundation. We'll put that information on your screen again. You text the word HELP to 303-871-1491. Text HELP to 303-871-1491. We'll send you a text back with the information on how to give to the Newcomers Fund. And as Yoli has attested, those funds go out very quickly to the organizations involved so that they can do the most good for folks in our community. Mayor Johnson, Senator Gonzalez, Jordan, Yoli, thank you so much for being here for this conversation, and for everyone here at Su Teatro tonight who took the time to see the premiere of Una Vida Nueva, the work of 9 News race and culture journalist Angeline McCall and photojournalist Chris Hansen. For all of us at 9 News, I'm Kyle Clark. Have a good night.